Hello, everyone. This is the Scholars of Kiora back with our third podcast. Um, can everyone introduce themselves?
Hello, I am Sparda.
I am Toa Of Forests.
And I'm Toa Levoris.
And I'm Pilot. And what we'll be discussing today are some of the other LEGO themes that we enjoy outside of Bionicle. So, well, I guess to start off, what other themes do you guys enjoy?
One other theme I really enjoyed as a child was the original Knight's Kingdom line, which was the successor to the Castle line. I was really into that when I was a child. I had a small dresser, then I had the big castle set, the flagship set of that line, and had that all set up. And as I got a lot of those smaller auxiliary sets to go with it, I just kept building on and around it. And it was between that and Bionicle, those were mostly my main childhood Legos.
My favorite theme, aside from Bionicle, is easily Ninjago, as anyone who has seen my channel would know. In some aspects, I think it's actually better than Bionicle, but yeah.
We'll cover that later.
We'll get into that more later. How about you, Levo?
Yeah, I think my favorite theme, aside from Bionicle, is definitely Exoforce. Oh, I just really like mechs, giant robots.
The Exoforce was cool.
So,
I never owned any of the Exoforce sets, but they always looked really neat.
I did get a couple of the sets. One mech in particular definitely sparked interest where it's like, ooh, these could make great Bionicle parts. Now I just need a lot of them. I wonder what set that could be. Something to do with red.
Indeed. I remember, like, Exoforce was literally one of the few LEGO themes that I was legitimately excited for, aside from Bionicle. Like, I would go on the website and look up new sets when they came out. I want it.
Some of the design aspects in that set were fantastic. If you watched Planet Ripple's Lego rewind of that, yeah, I mean, sure, it was a sticker-heavy set as well, but at the same time, it was just like, the way some of the stuff was built was also, pretty clever.
The minifigures are also pretty cool, I think.
The birth of the robots with, the arms that we use as fingers and stuff, and the clips and stuff like that. Yeah. A lot of it lives on through, Bionicle and stuff, and a lot of the arms are, I think they're also used in, actually I've seen it a few times in, like, minifigure tools and stuff.
It is, I mean, the tools are currently usually used as the tactical droid arms from the Star Wars sets. Usually just as greebling, but they're just really good pieces. How about you, Pilot?
Well, I would probably say Hero Factory, but then again, that's kind of too similar to Bionicle, so, we're kind of discussing more system themes. So I would probably have to say Ninjago as well. That, it's kind of like the system equivalent to Bionicle, and after Bionicle ended, that was one of, like, the big themes that I kind of got into. Mm-hmm. I was pretty much into that throughout, like, the entirety of, like, Ninjago's first run. By the time it kind of came around the second time, I wasn't as into system Lego anymore. So, yeah, that was probably my favorite system theme overall.
Nice. What about license themes? None of us have mentioned any license themes. Like, have we really given them any thought? Like, do we really like them? Because my brother was actually really big into the Harry Potter line, the very first one that came out. In fact, in his childhood bedroom, he has all the sets, for the most part, still intact. So I never really got into it. My parents would give me, a few Star Wars system sets here and there and stuff like that, rewards for doing well in school. Yay! So definitely have a fair amount of those. I like the way the system lightsabers were done. I always thought that was neat. So, to answer to answer the question, for me personally, it was Star Wars, but that was also because I had a lot of exposure to it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably the same case for me. Star Wars was probably like the main license theme I remember liking a lot.
Yeah, I also liked Star Wars and still do. I have a lot of sets still on display, but I also like Lord of the Rings, and I got a bunch of the sets back then, 2012, I think, when they first came out.
Cool. I think I'm just going to stand out a bit more. The Lego Indiana Jones was probably my favorite license theme.
Like,
really like the design of the sets and stuff and that, and the fact that most of I think it was the first time I had like flesh-colored minifigures was from that.
nice.
All right,
I remember having
moving on from
was
that. Sorry, what's that, Sparta?
That one was pretty short-lived, wasn't it? The Indiana Jones, because I do vaguely remember it, but it was. Oh, when was it? I think it was like a subsidy of like once they canceled Adventure.
Yeah, pretty much. It kind of like came out. That is when I moved to where I currently am living for the first time. About 12 years ago, kind of. Because I remember having built the truck, right? Like one of the sets was like one of the German trucks. I built that, and then I remember actually taking that with me on the airplane because I didn't want to depart for it because it was my newest Lego set.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took that with me, and then I basically got here, and then they just never heard of it again.
Oof.
So it was extremely short-lived for what it was.
And with
Wasn't there also a game for that too?
Yeah, so there's 2 games for it as well.
Yeah, I remember playing that once at a friend's house. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, they were pretty good. I was
So
like,
yeah, moving.
with amongst the last few good Lego games.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them are. I mean, they're all kind of like the same, right? It's just like picking up bricks. You like build the stuff in the level.
Mm-hmm.
No,
No, but then after that, they started just applying a couple more like not necessarily gimmicks, but like very heavy reliance on you need to use the pre-made story characters in order to play the game. Whilst with the Lego Indiana Jones games, you could create your own characters and they could still technically be functional.
Mm-hmm.
But, for example, the later Star Wars games, like, okay, yeah, you can play as your character, but you're going to be switching back to the normal, like, official characters every, 2 minutes because they have an ability which you need to use, which your custom character can't.
Yeah, I remember, like, Lego Star Wars had, like, the custom character creator thing, too. It worked pretty well in that game just because, it didn't have that thing you're talking about where, like, you have to, like, use certain abilities to, like, progress in the level.
Mm-hmm.
At least I don't remember it having that. But yeah, so moving on from our favorite license theme, what retired themes would you guys want to see return? Aside from Bionicle, of course.
I'd have to say I wouldn't mind seeing a 3rd generation Knights Kingdom. The 2nd generation, I did like the way they blended, the buildable figures with, regular system sets. And I would hope they would, redo some buildable figures and stuff, because I do like a lot of the sword pieces that did come out in the 2nd generation of it, because I used them for Bionicle mocks and stuff, and even a lot of the armors and stuff as well. So I wouldn't mind another go at it.
I would really like a new Space Police theme.
Oh yeah, Space Police was cool.
Yeah.
Wait,
Space Police is pretty dope.
Is that retired already? I thought it would still be produced.
Yeah.
No, it was retired.
What?
I think
That's
it was
been
retired
gone for like a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was retired just as Ninjago started, so
yeah.
It's been gone a while.
Oh, wait. I must be thinking of something else. I'm sorry. Because I thought there was a space theme out right now that was called that, but it was, it was like a white base with, different colored accents for like different specialty teams. I forget what that
I
theme is
know.
called.
I think it was like called Galaxy Squad or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's also ended, isn't it?
Yes, that one also ended. I'm sad that I was actually never able to get any of the sets of that.
I got one.
Mm-hmm.
It's honestly one of my favorite, like, original Lego spaceships. It was like a small fighter thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they had some really cool set designs for that because they had a lot of like play features within the sets, like a lot of them, and they're all really cool. It's just that where I was, they just never released as a thing, and if I wanted to get them, I'd have to import them, and it just was way too much for my underage budget, so I wasn't able to. Yeah, theme I would like to see return would actually be, as Sparda just earlier mentioned, is Adventures, because I didn't actually own any of the sets per se, but I remember my first Lego system was like a second-hand bag just full of Lego Adventure stuff. So it does kind of have a place there in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then for me, I'd probably say Exoforce. I was kind of like too young to actually like experience that theme when it like came out. Mm-hmm. So, and that seems like a really cool idea for a theme, just having it be based on like mechs and stuff. So I would, like to see that come into modern Lego, especially with like all like the really cool mech designs they've been releasing with Ninjago. I think there's a lot of potential there. So
and hopefully make
I think I'd like to see Exoforce.
Make some.
Yeah, if they got a reboot, it'd be pretty neat.
Make some pin and axle pieces that would be Bionicle compatible.
Yes.
So what? Kind of switching gears here. What theme could Lego start making sets for, like movies, TV shows, video games? I mean, I'm kind of going on an interesting limb here, but I know there's, I've seen, collectible figures and stuff, so it wouldn't be, if I feel like Lego could honestly get in on that market pretty well if they honestly just did not just a specific theme, but they, got, say multiple licenses to make buildable figures. And yeah, I'll just I'll just say Dragon Ball, for instance. Like, if they did it like, a Dragon Ball buildable figure, well then they could make, like say a Goku set to where it's like, okay, a few pieces here, he's got his traditional black hair. Swap out those pieces, now he's got his golden Super Saiyan hair and stuff like that, and make sets for that. I just think, they can get into making buildable, collector's figures or something. I think that would be pretty neat. And
yeah,
cover a wide variety of topics.
Yeah, because like they already kind of have that with like the brickheads, don't they?
Kind of.
That's like
yes.
already like licensed Lego themes like Star Wars and Harry Potter and whatnot.
And
yeah,
so they could kind of like expand that into more licensed themes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, more recently they've been doing those helmet things for Star Wars and Marvel, at least.
Well, I would like to see something more accurate, not just like brickhead style. Kind of kind of like what Levo was talking about. They've been making great mechs. Well, then it's just like, well, make good proportioned figures and stuff like that. Improving ball and socket systems, all kinds of fun stuff. Something that could transition into Bionicle. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think an interesting theme that they could bring in would probably be a Dungeons and Dragons. Be quite interesting. Like you can get like polybags of parts to build your own minifigure, which represents the character that you play as.
Kind of like what they're doing with the Mario stuff.
Yeah, and then you could have like sets of actually like for example, Owlbear set, and it comes with like I want to say like a creator styled creature which you build, but it resembles an owlbear, and then you can do that with like bigger sets, and like you could have like a Tarrasque being like the biggest one, like huge 6-legged ginormous creature. But obviously the selling point there would be the very much you buy it to build your own stuff with it. And so it'd be very, centered around, you, for example, you could buy like a tavern, and it comes with a couple of characters, right? And then if you buy the tavern and then buy like an extra pack, like you could have like character packs in where it's just like boxes, loads of minifigures and small objects, a bit like they've done with a couple of city sets.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's one I got, which was like a astronaut facility, came with like 12 minifigures, different like scientists and astronauts and stuff, and then it came with a whole bunch of like Greeble stuff, like training facilities, crystals and stuff. But there's no actual building to it. But you could make something with that. If you could take that inside set and put it into something, you can make a story.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's something similar, but it's like Dungeons and Dragons, it's like very fantasy. You have like elves, dwarves, human fighters. You could have orcs. You have like a weapon blister in there, so you get like swords and axes and shields and stuff, where you can kind of like mix and match them to build up how you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Be pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's actually a very good idea. Lego, take notes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I would like them to make sets based on The Legend of Zelda, because I think there would be a lot of potential in that. And I think they would.
That would be awesome.
Yes.
They're working on Mario lines. I could easily see a beautiful transition into that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even be surprised if they are already designing sets based on it for Breath of the Wild 2, for example.
Yeah, well, because they've got Mario, which is a Nintendo product, and Zelda, which is a Nintendo product. They can easily get the connection there. That would actually be really dope.
Yes.
Yeah. I've always wanted a minifigure Master Sword. And I wonder if they would use the short legs to do Young Link as a minifigure, provided they would ever launch something like that. Use the short leg pieces for that, and then regular Link would just be regular sized minifigure.
And then Ganon could just be like really tall.
Yeah, it could be like
Come
Garmadon,
on.
where they like stack torsos. Except it doesn't have like multiple arms.
Well, the alt Link in game, Ganondorf is at least a foot taller than Link, but in the Lego sense, I don't think they would do anything for that. But it would be interesting.
Maybe what they might do is they could use like the taller legs that they use for Woody from the Toy Story series. Or just make him like brick built.
Yeah, that too.
Well, I was about to mention like the creature Ganon, the big ol' hog, and it's just like bring back, make an interesting bit of stuff like that. But then again, with the bulking from the Monkey Kid line, I don't know if they want to immediately hop on that kind of train where it's just like, oh look, another giant, pig hog looking thing, horns everywhere. Didn't we just do this?
Yeah, a Calamity Ganon set would be cool too. Like the like the one you like fight in the chamber underneath the castle.
Yeah, that'd be pretty dope.
Yeah,
that would be sweet.
Yeah, and then for me, I guess extending on, Forrest's idea for like having Nintendo related properties being made into Lego sets, I'd probably say Metroid. I think that would be a cool one.
I would. We gotta stop giving Lego too many ideas, because then my wallet's gonna like disinflate at the fast and light speed. I'm just gonna go like yes, and then like no money.
Lego, if you're going to, Lego, give us a construction Samus, please.
I wouldn't even just want a construction Samus, just like a brick-built Samus would be fine. But just here's the thing, Lego, if you do take our ideas, please send us samples, because I cannot afford to buy everything.
Give us like a percentage of like every sale.
Prototype.
We've been talking about a lot of video games, especially in the Nintendo vein and stuff. So what have been some of our favorite Lego-based video games and stuff? Then I'll go first. I've played quite a number of them. I played the first Bionicle game that came out I had it on PC, which, depending on what PC I was running it on, kind of had some issues at times, but I did beat it. Then I did have and beat Bionicle Heroes. I thought that was neat, but it didn't have any creative aspects, which was another few Lego games I've played that I'd enjoyed. I had the Harry Potter Chamber of Secrets. I had Lego Creator Knight's Kingdom. But then my brother had the base Creator, and when he finally let me mess around on that one time, I was actually hooked on that one for a long time because that one had the best, true form, building and creator aspects to it. And the fact that I could actually drive the vehicles themselves. And, it was in my late childhood, early teenage years, playing with Legos on the computer.
Alright, for me, the best Lego video game is Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga. It's simple but effective. There's not too much tricks or you can just shut off your brains and smash some piles of Lego bricks.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna a game that I think was relatively unheard of and kind of like went under the radar a bit, in my opinion, because I've not really talked about it with anyone. Was Lego Drome Racers. I was around for a while.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
Wait, what was it? I do remember Lego Racers, but was that like I know there was another one.
Lego Drome Racers was a game that took place using a lot of the Technic racer cars. So like racing cars that were built 100% out of Technic. And it was one of the games that I got because I got myself a 4-game pack. It was either a 4 or a 3-game pack. It came with Barnacle the Mask of Light game, like the first one, which I didn't really need because I'd already bought the previous version that came with Galador, which is another game.
Mm-hmm.
But I played on the pack. It came with Lego Drome Racers, Barnacle game, Lego Loco, and Lego Land, which are another 2 games which are kind of alright. Lego Land was a bit more like a theme park tycoon where you have to build up Legoland and get income and stuff, but everything's Lego and it's pretty cool, but I never really got past a bit because it kind of glitched.
Mm-hmm.
So I just stopped playing it. Lego Loco was a train simulator where you had to like build the rails and stuff to make your stuff flow, and it was cool as a time killer, but it wasn't really overly entertaining. But then came around bloody Drome Racers because it was cool because it was a bit like Mario Kart in a sense, because you had to drive around, you could pick up pickups and use them and stuff. But what I really liked about it was like Technic, and knowing that Technic was connected to Bionicle drew me to it, and seeing that like loads of the cars actually had like Bionicle pieces on them as well.
Right.
And so I actually played it so much that when I found the disc again the other day, I actually reinstalled it on my PC and it still works on Windows 10, which is great.
Hooray!
So I remember sitting down, new save, and I played about like 4 hours straight of it. Just driving around, throwing stuff at people, because it's got a whole bunch of different like power-ups. And the most useless one's like the energy shield, which you get, which is more like a disc. Mm-hmm. Which, if you guys remember the first Incredibles, like the disc helicopter things, blades that circle around. Think about it's like that made out of energy, except that it only really works to like hit other cars. But hitting other cars just makes you lose so much speed that it's not really worth it. And it doesn't do anything else. So pretty much every time I pick it up, just instant use, and get it out of there, I'll pick something else up down the road. But I think my favorite pickup is one which is a bit like kind of like a throwing star, and it's you use like a little disc thing which you just throw forward and it bounces off the edges of the racetrack, and if it hits something, if it hits another car, it just flips them off the track, and then they got to wait for a while whilst their car resets and stuff. But what I always liked about it is that the way it was made is basically they took Garley's hook and then basically got rid of the axle, and then at the little circle in the middle, like at the bottom, just above the axle, they kind of rotated it twice to get like a 3-pronged ninja star.
Mm.
So that was pretty cool. Like I might have a look at seeing I can design that in 3D and then 3D print some of those, because those look really cool as discs. Throwing them at people. Yeah, and then also after I reinstalled it the other day, I decided to actually look up on Lego website for the instructions of the time, and I found the instructions to pretty much all the cars in the game.
Nice.
So they're all actual sets as well. There's no fictitious made-up Lego cars in it. They're all things you could have bought in the task. And so I got the instructions. I built my favorite in colors I prefer, and it's currently downstairs next to Levoris.
That's cool.
Which is, yeah, and what I like about it is because it's the one that uses Garley's hooks as part of the roll cage for the driver. And the way this one worked is that it actually had a play function where if you crashed into something, the bumper would compress a bit, and then it would actually throw the driver out.
Oh, I think I remember that line now.
Like the entire driver's roll cage is like a separate piece, which it hooks on, and then with elastic bands and friction, it basically stays on top. So when it touches something, that friction disappears because it lets it loose. So it just flips the thing out. It's pretty cool. And so I got that, and then I decided that because it didn't really look like the game, because obviously there's no driver because it's a Technic set, I rummaged around my parts and I found like the old Lego Racers characters, which are like the 2x2 square things, which have then got like a little dude sitting down with his little steering wheel, and then it's got like a little neck part so you could put a head on. I took one of those and put like a head on it and stuff, and then I've actually wedged it into between, because to help make part of the roll cage, you got like these flexi beams. And so they kind of feed in together, and I basically just wedged him to there. That's holding him in place. So he's got the head now, and he kind of looks cool up there. This little dude on top of this massive vehicle. It's like watching a monster truck.
I remember those little slammer ones you're talking about. They had a couple waves of those. Those were neat. It was like only like 4 pieces where you had the base car, and that car was an interesting piece of plastic because one bumper, I think it's 9 times out of 10 was supposed to be the front where it would compress, and then the middle section where that driver was, it was supposed to just, have a piece just come out the side and just throw the driver off to the side. But they had a lot of interestingly decorated slope and spoiler pieces, because those were the 2 other pieces. You just had that slope piece in the front with their, supposed to be main design and stuff, and then the same thing with the spoiler. And they actually had quite a wide variety of colors and color combinations.
Yeah, it was also the first time that I'd seen the use of a Bionicle piece outside of Bionicle. Because, as I was saying, the one that I built had Galli's hooks on it. Then there was another one which was like a drag car, and that one had Tahu's fire blades as the exhausts.
I think that was
made it look really cool. The cool thing about those drag cars is that their play features, that they had like the pullback motors, the ones that you pull back a bit and let go and drive off. Those are pretty cool. And they also had just a lot of really cool piece usage from Bionicle parts, because I remember there's one also that used Taraga Matau's staff, the one with like the little circular saw at the end.
Yes, I have that set, because that was when it got recolored in silver.
That one was actually a variant of the one that I've built. The difference basically being the top part and where the connection is.
But then
there was also another one that had the Garley's hooks again, and they had them towards the front, and instead of being part of the roll cage, they were part of the chassis, and they actually held the front wheel in place because it was a tri-wheel vehicle. And that one had suspension as play function.
I can't immediately picture that one, but correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't the one you mentioned that had Tahu sword pieces? Isn't that where we got the recolor of Tahu's sword, where it was like, oh yeah, now that little bit of yellow at the end?
Not to my knowledge. I think the ones that they were using the drag set with the complete red ones, the ones where we got the Tahu with a little bit of yellow at the end, were actually from Exoforce. Towards its latter year when they moved into the swamp.
Makes sense.
I remember that because I remember seeing that and I was like, oh, it's got yellow on it! I want it! And I got it.
Use that in like every Tahu revamp ever.
Yeah, because it's got like a little slight colour.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, like, there's like a couple Lego games I remember really enjoying. The first one was Tales of the Dahunga for the Game Boy Advance. That game was like super janky, but I remember enjoying a lot of like the mini games it had.
And that's the one with the snowball fight, right?
Torn was pretty cool.
Yeah, at the beginning. That's the one with the snowball fight, right?
I believe so, yeah. Like,
yeah,
you're essentially like Takua, and you're like running around the island of Madanui.
Yeah. I remember the one.
You can only change colors, not the mask, correct? I think that's what it... Yeah, I think
you change like the mask, the body, and like the feet.
Yeah, you could change you could change the color. You couldn't actually change the shape, so you were locked with the Bakari all the time.
Yeah.
But I remember that basically when you loaded it up, you had the option of play for the story or play snow fight.
Yeah.
You don't know if it's snowballs or the Tohunga.
Yeah.
I'll be victorious. Just
Yeah. Like the one I would play like a ton was like the Ussel Crab like digging minigame where you had to like dig around and like find all the gems.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Fun.
The main thing that sticks with me from that game is in the first level you have to pick up bloody Dermis turtle and yeet it in order to cross over a river.
Right, and then like jumping on it is like so janky because like you have to like position yourself in like a very specific way and like a certain distance from like the rock to like actually land on it.
It's like
because obviously those are the days when you didn't have like variable speed, so you didn't speed up to a speed. You have a movement speed, and then you also had a set jump distance. And so it was either you jump on the spot or you jump a set distance.
Yeah, and it's like so hard to control. Yeah, and then the other Barnacle game I played a lot of was the DS version of Barnacle Heroes. I like completely finished that game, I'm pretty sure. Mm-hmm. Which the DS version I'm pretty sure is like really different to the like the console and PC one.
Yeah.
Like it's like first person instead of third person, and I guess like, all what the levels are pretty much different. And there's also that like weird seventh Toa that you like play as, like the white one.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and I believe there was also the third version of the game, which was Game Boy, I think, which was like a top-down, a bit like Tales of the Tohunga. Yeah, but it was still Barnacle Heroes. It was like,
Yeah, that's the one like no one really talks about. I feel like that's like the forgotten version of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, well, just a side thing, between Barnacle Heroes and Barnacle the game, which one do you guys prefer? Oh, the two main Barnacle games.
Heroes.
Let's go with the console PC release.
I've never played Barnacle the game, so I'm gonna have to say Barnacle Heroes.
I've only played a bit of Barnacle Heroes, and I have not played Barnacle the game, so Barnacle Heroes.
I'm feel alone now, guys. I really like Barnacle the game, and I've played it so much that I've my personal record of completing the levels, not necessarily with all the light stones, which is like the little collectible that you get from playing the game, but with as many as possible. And like the quickest pastime for me was like 58 minutes.
Nice.
The entire thing.
Like the entire game you beat in like an hour?
Yeah. I was like, speedrun this.
Yeah.
See, I say Heroes, but I have played through and beat the original game that came out in 2003. I mean, if it got a prop, I mean, I'm going to be very careful here, but if it ever got like a remaster and remake, I could definitely, easily say I prefer that as opposed to Heroes, because there were times when I was playing it on my laptop that it was just like, okay, for some reason it's running really slow. Okay, now everything seems to be running really fast. So I had that kind of going for it where, Bionicle Heroes functioned as intended. So, and I kind of like the RPG like aspect to it, because I 100%ed that game. I got all the unlockables and stuff like that, so got everyone fully upgraded, so
yeah. I think another reason why I prefer Bionicle the game over Bionicle Heroes is just that I've just generally preferred when they stylize the characters and don't make them look like the sets. I know that might just be me, but that's one reason why The Legend Reborn isn't really high up on my list of Bionicle movies. And Bionicle Heroes, whilst it had a lot of like cool part usage in order to make all the different stuff, especially in the Paraka Playground, I started biased towards the other one because they looked like the toys, and I was like, that's not how I saw them in my mind. I saw them like the movies because I grew up on the movies, so I saw them in the movies. So
which makes sense for that game in particular, because it's supposed to be like a tie-in to the movie.
And to add to your point, Levo, it's you on Bionicle Heroes where it's just like sometimes the Toa models were just like, here's the shoulder movement. What do you mean the that solid piece, like where the ball attaches to the other bit of the shoulder, moves and stuff like that? And it was like you would see the clear pinhole, suddenly they're expanding and contracting, and then the scaling of certain pieces is just like, okay, this doesn't look that great. But one thing I did like about that game as well, kind of like I think you've already mentioned, where it's just like were actually trying to use pieces, but then it was like, now suddenly you're throwing in these stone structures, and suddenly it's like, look at this, Lego Technic built gate that you have to use the Toa ability to open or break it. And, it's just like, if they could have just, and then again, it probably would have been a lot more rendering and stuff like that. But then it's just like, if they would have kept like, a somewhat Lego atmospheric aesthetic, that could have been, looked a little better, because it was definitely, it definitely sticks out what's like a traditional, natural environment, and then it's just like, and here's Lego brick stuff. Or I should say Lego Technic.
Yeah, it did break a bit, because like it would have worked better if the pieces were actually like colored like the environment, but I understand why they had them like bright yellow and red, is because otherwise you wouldn't see them all the time. But like if you were to take that and then
like the puzzles and stuff.
But if you were to take that and then like take away the colors basically, and like make them match the environment, it would have worked like a lot better.
Yeah, probably.
So, yeah, whilst I definitely enjoyed Barnacle Heroes,
Mm-hmm.
I still got to buy the first one because everything fits. Everything's been made to look coherent. Although, funny story about Barnacle Heroes. I remember my dad took me to the PC World, which is a store in the UK. It was PC stuff. Took me there, and I was walking around and I found like the game section, and I saw that they had like instead of having it on the wall, they had like this separate stand that was covered with copies of Barnacle Heroes. I was like, Dad, can I get this? And he's like, no. But oh, what do you mean? I was like, I tried convincing him for a good half an hour, right? And then eventually, like, is there anything else you want? It's like, I want one of these. I kept pointing at it and stuff, and then like basically said like, no, okay. No, when we left, I was really like bummed out. I was like sitting in the back of the car, going, oh, day's ruined. And then we get home, my dad's like, here. He gave it to me. It's like he didn't want to buy it for me, because he already bought it for me previously. Like, yeah, just take it. I was like, oh, okay.
Reverse plot twist.
Yeah, that's one of my fun memories of that game. It's just like not getting it and then thinking it's because, I don't know, my dad didn't have money for it or something. And I was like, nah, it's because I've already got it. Here you go. That's like nice.
Yeah. Another Lego game I remember playing a lot of was kind of like what Forrest said, was Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga. I also had that on the DS. I remember saving up like millions of those like studs to like buy the like Ghost Anakin and like Ghost Yoda and all that.
Grinder, you are.
It reminds me when I played Lego Lord of the Rings. I discovered how to get Nazgul. It's basically you have to wait for the game to be nighttime, and you have to go over to the one tower, the first one where they fight. Aragon, is it? The first encounter where he turns up with like the torch, like scares them away. You have to go there when it's nighttime in game in order to acquire it. And on top of that, he was really expensive as well. He's like 200,000 stars. I was like, but it's worth it though. Favorite Lord of the Rings character. Oh wait, I got him. And what's cool is that he's actually got a unique walk animation. The Nazgul in Lord of the Rings Lego got a unique walking animation. So like, they've got the same running animation, which is when you go full speed. But if you go like half speed, they do a walking animation. And this one's kind of like a ghost trying to creep up on people. Pretty funny.
So yeah, I mean, moving on from Lego games, what was your guys' first Lego set that you ever got? Which I'm gonna guess that a lot of us probably don't remember that, but
no, I was about to start
to the best of our ability,
because my older brother was into Lego and stuff like that, and I can't honestly. I mean, most likely it might have been a Duplo set of some kind, because we did have Duplo blocks and stuff like that. So I'd imagine that's where my start was. I don't have any memory about any specific what it was. Or maybe it just been a generic Duplo creator set or something like that.
Yeah, it's kind of the same situation for me. My first sets were Duplo sets, but I think that one of my first system sets was this Lego City mini digger thing. I'm not sure.
Yeah, for me, I know for a fact that I like never had Duplo sets, but I do remember getting like one of those like I don't know if like Lego still like sells them now, but like they used to have those like just tubs of like miscellaneous like Lego bricks. And I remember getting like one of those like really kind of early on in my childhood. And then I think like the first like traditional Lego set I like owned was one of those, or it was like a rover set from like Mars Mission, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if that was actually like my first Lego set I owned, but I have like really like early memories of like taking that on like an airplane and stuff. And I remember taking that like a lot of places.
Nice.
So yeah.
You hurt me there, pilot. You reminded me of Mars Mission.
Mars Mission was cool.
Yeah.
Mars Mission was like my third. So basically, it's like Bionicle Extra Force Mars Mission. I really like that series. Like, if Lego could bring back a series that wasn't Adventures, I would hope it would be Mars Mission, because that way they'd also bring back something spacey. Yeah. My first Lego set, as I mentioned earlier, was a second-hand bag full of parts that were mainly from Lego Adventures. However, I do remember that the first time I played with Legos was at my granddad's house, where he had a whole bunch of Legos from the 80s, which were like red bricks, building stuff. Pretty cool. Then I'm pretty sure that the first set I got after the second-hand bag, like the first set I got first-hand in the box, was a police car from the same era as the digger that Forrester sent, which I'll put up on screen. Because I also remember having that digger, but I remember that I got the police car first.
Yeah, I think I also got that police car around that time, so...
I remember getting that set, pilot. Why are you doing this to me? I got that set when I went out with my friend once. Basically, it was a present from his mother to me because it was my birthday. And I do remember that it was like £10 when I got it. I remember being so happy about it. Like a cool little like command center thing. And the alien had a jetpack. He's got a jetpack. What I really liked about it, it had the jaw, which was from a newer Turaga. And I didn't have that piece because I never got him. So...
Oh yeah, I just realized that. Yeah, that's when he was staff.
Yeah, that's how I got that one for the first time. And I was like, nice. That's why I was really excited about that one.
That was a cool set. It had those neat like wheels too.
Still prefer the larger ones, which they still use on some things nowadays. They're just bigger, but the small ones are pretty cool. I've got myself like a little mini like 6-wheeled excavator thing based on like the excavator or the harvesters from Red Alert. And I remember that I built that and said, I want to make a strategy game now, like an RTS that has this in it. So I remember doing the designs for that, but then never getting into it because that was before I actually knew how games were made. I was just like, I'll do it one day. No is the answer. I got to think about it a bit more. But I've still got that built. It's a pretty sturdy design as well. I remember what I really liked about it is the fact that the wheels were in a hexagonal shape. They weren't straight, because the two center wheels on either side were actually further out than the ones on corners, giving it a hexagonal shape. And it had like the little, it's got like the little scoop thing that the one Forest put in orange. It's got that one at the front. Then on the back, it's got a smaller storage area at the back, which was from the power miners. Oh, yeah, power miner sets. It looks pretty cool. I'll probably throw up a picture of mine.
So yeah, I guess now we can kind of move on to our final topic for today, and that is our thoughts on Ninjago. So to kind of preface this, Ninjago is kind of seen oftentimes as sort of the modern day equivalent to Bionicle. So as Bionicle fans ourselves, what are kind of our thoughts on that as a theme?
I definitely give it its respects. I do actually have a few sets. I never got into it. They were just kind of like my parents at like birthdays or holidays would be like, Sparda enjoys Lego, and then they would just see that and it's like, this must be the flagship theme. It is. So I did get one set was like the Snake Dojo, and I liked the build behind that. And then I got a couple little smaller builds here and there occasionally. So, I mean, I give it its respects, and I can definitely see where people give, it's definitely where it caught on again.
Okay, I've been a huge fan of Ninjago since day one, literally, because I saw the website like in 2010 before the sets even came out, and I was instantly hooked. I got some of the spinner sets that they made back then, like as soon as they came to the stores, and ever since then I've bought at least, I think, a set or two every year. And I watched the TV show like when a new season comes, which I gotta say, the recent seasons have been some of the best actually. So it's kind of amazing that they've been able to keep it so good for so long. And honestly, the TV show is kind of the thing that makes me prefer it to Bionicle, because Bionicle never had a good TV show.
Yeah, no, Journey to One it's kind of a flop.
It was more like a really badly done movie than a show.
Well, yeah, it was only like 4 episodes, wasn't it?
4 episodes, and pretty much you could have just like got rid of the Barry, just made it into a movie, and it still would have been bad. It's like it didn't fix anything.
Yeah.
The only thing that G2 gave us was just more unique pieces.
Yeah, that was nice, I guess.
Unique pieces being the gearbox functions on the first one, the cool CCBS torsos with the hip hinges, then masks, heads, and then like weapons, and then the 2015 armor piece, because then the rest we already have.
And then the Uniter armor piece in 2016.
Honestly, Ninjago has also given us a bunch of pieces that are useful in Bionicle mocks, like those big swords and stuff.
Yeah, those are nice. And then some of the pin connection stuff as well. Like didn't Akimu's shield in both his forms, didn't that piece debut in Ninjago, that ornamental like gold cover?
I believe it did.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. I didn't look.
Yeah. So, what about you, Levo? What are your opinions on Ninjago?
Quite cool when it came out. It was really interesting with the original play feature, which was like the Beyblade disc things that you'd mount your dude on. That was pretty neat.
I remember they had like the arena for it too. That was always
fun.
With,
but I never got that.
Yes.
Yeah, but the main thing I've got with the Ninjago sets have been the dragons. What I've mainly got. I have got a couple of other sets. One of them was like a really big ninja like vehicles, like a half track thing with wheels and wings and stuff, and it came with like a giant snake as part of it. It's like a really big set. It was white. It still is white. I still got it built. It's actually one of the few stuff I've got.
I think that was the ultrasonic raider, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the one. Like a bit of it can like detach and become like its own little plane thing.
That's it.
Yeah, and it came with like the 4 ninjas. That was a pretty cool set. And the other big one I've got was the first 4-headed dragon that they came out with. Like when the dragons like combined or something. I'm not really up to date with the Ninjago story, so I'm not really sure what happened.
Yeah, that's the ultra
They had like
dragon.
a big dragon. It had like the 4 dragons merged into one, and it came with like 4 heads, and it was white, and it had Lloyd, which was pretty neat. Then after that, I got another dragon, and then my most recent purchase with it was when I went to Denmark. Went to Legoland there, and they have an entire Ninjago section. Like it's got its own like little attractions and stuff, and it's got like a Shinto style building, which is like the shop. And you go in there, and it's just Ninjago sets. Like, nice. What can I get that isn't going to fill up my bag with occupying space? So I looked around, and I got myself a set that came with like 2 bikes. One of them black and one of them white. They're pretty cool. I built those the other day because I hadn't gotten around to building them. So they're fresh on my mind.
Yeah, there are a lot
cool.
of Ninjago sets with bikes, so...
Yeah, it's one that has Zane, and his bike has got like a little bird on it, which attaches and is white, and then the other guy's, I think it's It looks like Black Dude.
His name is
I don't
Mr.
know. That's the one. Yeah, it's like red and black.
Yeah.
His bike, and he's got like swords that like flip out off it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a cool set.
Yeah, and then another set I remember getting, which is more or less when I started, was I actually got the dojo set. That came with like a small arena, a whole bunch of like the skeletons with like simple cylinders on top as training dummies. And the really cool thing I thought about that is the fact that it came with a Glatorian life piece in it. And I was like, that's pretty neat. Because other than the Glatorian game, that has like no use anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere.
Did it have like the numbers on it and all that?
Yeah, exactly. It came with it's a life counter with the numbers on it. I was like, you literally there's no use for it anywhere else. I get the use for like the completely blank version because there's a black one that came in one of the Glatorian sets as part of the tracks.
Mm-hmm.
And so you could use that with like tracked vehicles and stuff. But the one with the life counter, it does stand out a bit.
Yeah, I don't know why they have that.
Well, it's because they had some kind of game with the dojo. They like do round battles with it or something like that.
I see.
So the idea is that you'd have the dojo, you like fight off each other in training or something. It'd be like the amount of training matches or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, but one thing I really do like about the Ninjago sets is I want to say like the armor pieces that you put on them so that you can store the swords on their back and stuff.
Yeah.
They have like a very nice variety of different shapes and styles for those. There's a lot of them.
Yeah, I think they make a new one like almost every year.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm thinking about seeing if I can acquire some of the more recent mech ones. Because, as I said earlier, I like big robots. Mechs. And I haven't actually got any of those.
To modern day Exoforce, probably.
Yeah, and I haven't actually got any, but one thing I did is, because I've been planning on making a whole bunch of mechs myself, I've actually got the instructions for those mechs, the current ones, offline. And so I'm going to like mix and match and start like making out my own mechs, because I've decided already how I wanted to theme them, as I wanted to try and do a similar thing to Nexonites. Like it's like it's like sci-fi knights with like a bit like more modern technology. But obviously I'm making my own world for it, because the Nexonites line was cool, but I have a feeling it was too its own thing. There's like undeniably Nexonites when you look at it. So I wanted to divert a bit from that and go a bit more my way. But yeah, final thoughts on Ninjago, is it cool? Works. I haven't really kept up with the story, but it's got very cool stuff. The minifigures are really dope. I really liked the snake dudes when they came out. They're pretty cool because they came like with the different like tails, like heads and stuff.
Yeah.
And then they also came out with the really angular skeletons as the first enemies. So those were pretty cool as well. Got a couple of those. Yeah.
Well, yeah. For me, I like when Ninjago first came out, I was like super into it, and I pretty much stayed into it for like the entirety of its first run. So back then I was really interested in the theme, and I like watch like the show, buy a lot of the sets and everything. Nowadays, I'm not really as interested in Ninjago anymore. In my opinion, it's kind of gotten a little bit bland, just because like they've just kept it going for so long. Which granted, I'm not really interested in any system sets anymore either. I'm mostly just, engaged in Bionicle for the most part. But, I don't know, it's a pretty alright theme. The sets are all good and everything. But I do think it's gotten a little bit stale as time has gone on. Is there anything else that you guys want to add on the final topic here?
I think I stated before, I respect Ninjago, and I can definitely see where a lot of people want to say it's the equivalent to the modern day Bionicle. It's been I think it's actually eclipsed Bionicle's run of 10 years. I think Ninjago's it's 11 or 12th year now.
I think it like just passed its 10th, didn't it?
Yeah, this year is the 10-year anniversary.
Okay.
Yeah, because it came out in 2011, didn't
it?
Yeah.
It came out alongside Hero Factory.
Right. They came out in like the same time, like around the same time. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely like agree with you, Sparda. I definitely like respect it as a theme, but for me personally, I'm just kind of bored of it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
And before they bring out like construction sets using Bionicle parts, and then everyone's like, "Oh, Ninjago!"
Yeah. So I think we can wrap it up there.
Mm-hmm.
This has been Pilot.
No, this has been Toa Sparda.
I was Toa of the Forests.
And I'm Toa Levoris.
And this is the Scholars of Kiora signing off.
Thank you for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bells for whenever we upload. We are still doing our self-mock showcase series, and there'll be much more to come in due time.
Yes. So yeah, thank you for watching, everyone. We'll be back with more videos soon, and we will see you then.